Torres, man, how are you?
What's going on, Ryan? How we doing?
Oh, we're good. We're a little depressed here in Tuscaloosa. Yeah, just, not number one and, number six.
If you're not first, you're last, Ryan, right? If you're not first, you're last.
Well, I mean, Alabama's standard. When you win 7 consecutive, these little pretend national titles in recruiting, when you finish 7th, it's not very good. And we're throwing stones at Saban. We flipped over his car. I mean, things like that.
Well, I was going to say, what's better than a fake championship, Ryan? A real one. And last time I checked, I think Nick Saban has like 5 or so of them since he's gotten to Alabama. And, oh, by the way, there was probably 2 or 3 other years where he actually had the best team and just didn't win it. I understand the disappointment from Alabama fans. I understand you want to be first in every single thing that you do. But trust me, when it comes to playing on the field in September, I'd like to see how all these make-believe recruiting titles, how Georgia and Clemson and Miami and all these teams are going to look when they actually line up on the field on Saturdays. Because last time I checked, for about the last 9 or 10 years, Alabama's done pretty good lined up against all these other paper tigers.
No, but it's the team that you beat for that national title whipped you in recruiting. And it's like it bothers Alabama fans. I think it'd have been like if it would have been someone else besides Georgia, it's like you beat them, but you couldn't hold them down. And they went out and beat you in recruiting and signed, one of the best classes ever in, recruiting when you talk about 5 stars. But, it's all about player development. How will they get this talent to the next level? Because Georgia is going to be a thorn in Alabama and Nick Saban. They are. Kirby Smart's going to be a thorn for Nick Saban.
Well, it's funny, Ryan, it's funny you bring that up. Look, I think that according to all the experts, all the metrics, obviously Georgia, unbelievable run by Kirby Smart. And really, let's be honest, first of all, a couple things, is that one, most of this was done long before yesterday. I mean, they had a great class dating back to the last spring and last summer. And to their credit, they held it strong. A couple things. One, look, I think if there is no early signing day, is Georgia, do they finish quite as strong? I don't know, because, listen, a lot of kids can be swayed easily. A lot of kids can be manipulated, and a lot of kids just like going with the cool, shiny thing. And Alabama, wasn't the cool, shiny thing when National Signing Day came around back in December when a lot of these kids signed. I want to get into something else, though, really quick, Ryan, is like this idea, I think thorn in the side is a good way to put it, Ryan, but I heard so much over the course of the wintertime about Georgia's the new Alabama, Georgia's the new Alabama. I get it. Like, they have an Alabama assistant coach. Kirby Smart got the blueprint from Nick Saban on how to do everything. I'm not sold that they're the next Alabama, though, Ryan. Here's the thing. First of all, we're not going to find that out for about a decade because, by the way, Alabama, this isn't a 1 or 2 year thing for Nick Saban. This is a 10-year run of dominance, the likes of which that we really ever haven't seen, certainly in our lifetimes in college football. But I would add this too, Ryan, is like, I think a lot of things worked out really well for Georgia this year. First of all, Kirby Smart got a lot of guys to come back to college last year that normally wouldn't. Obviously, Sony Michel and Nick Chubb. Now, it's a credit to them. They wanted, another shot at a championship. But, look, they decided to come back to school. That's one thing. Jacob Eason gets hurt. Jake Fromm, who we all know how good he was. Certainly, Nick Saban knew how good he was because he nearly had him in Tuscaloosa. Jake Fromm goes in and plays with Jacob Eason. That's another thing. They play an easy schedule, are able to build some momentum. Now, to their credit, they beat Notre Dame early in the year. But all I'm saying, Ryan, is this, is that I've heard so much about, Georgia's the next Alabama, Kirby Smart right in the rearview mirror of Nick Saban. Look, I think thorn in the side is a great way to describe it. I'm not ready to say that Kirby Smart is the next Nick Saban or he's closing in on Nick Saban or he's even close right now. A lot of things worked his way on the field. He took credit to it. He took credit that he took advantage of it, excuse me. I'm not ready to say that he is there yet, though, if that makes sense.
Well, good, because there's a lot of people out here that, they're talking about the dynasty's over, it's finished. It's, I mean, Aaron, I kid you not, man. I'm reading stuff like that. After that number 7 finish in recruiting, all these hot takes are, Alabama's done. Stick a fork in them, man. When they don't have the talent gap, they're not worth a flip.
Well, they don't have it. First of all, the last time I checked, and I'm going to butcher his name for the 1,000th time, Tua Tagovailoa is going to be on campus for at least how long, Ryan? I think at least 2 more years.
At least two more. Yeah, I mean, possibly 3. Yeah.
Listen, unless he decides to defect to the XFL in 2020, okay, you guys still got a couple years with him. And I think as long as you got a couple years with him, you got a chance with anybody. By the way, Ryan, I forget, didn't Najee Harris have a pretty good national championship?
No doubt.
He played pretty well in that game, right? Yeah.
No doubt.
Jerry Jeudy played pretty well in that national championship game. Wasn't Alex Leatherwood? Didn't they throw him on the offensive line? Didn't he hold up? Weren't there a bunch of defensive backs? Then you add in some of the guys that they signed yesterday. Let's pump the brakes here. By the way, I would add this. Jim Harbaugh has had a top 10 recruiting class every year since he's gotten there. They finished 8-5 last year. We can go on and on down the list. All of the great, titans of recruiting that didn't do anything with players on the field. Give me Nick Saban. Give me what he's doing behind the scenes. Scott Cochran in the weight room. I hope it's not a rainy day there, Ryan, because all I see is sunshine and blue skies ahead for Nick Saban and Alabama. I wouldn't worry about it too much if I was your fan base.
I like it. Aaron Torres right now visiting with us. Let's move our way. No, let's stay on football just for a minute because you brought up Jim Harbaugh. Is there a more overrated coach in the game of college football than Jim Harbaugh?
Look, first of all, see, I don't believe that, Ryan. Now, overrated and overhyped are two different things. Now, I thought it was interesting. This was a guy that 2 years ago, he was sleeping over recruits' houses. He was climbing trees. You didn't see much of that this year, Ryan. And so, I don't know if the pressure is starting to get to him. I don't know whether he's just tired of being involved in the gimmicks himself. I need to see this year definitively before I can say whether he's overrated or not. Because here's the truth, Ryan. He took over a 5-7 team. He immediately got them to 10 wins. Now, anywhere but Tuscaloosa, people are impressed by a 10-win season. People are impressed by a 5 to 10-win season. The following year, he has them one play away from beating Ohio State and probably going to the playoff. Although, let's be honest, they would have lost to Alabama there. But that's not really the point. The point is, they're one bad fourth quarter spot away from going to the college football playoff. And then this past year, he had the youngest team in college football. He lost 18 starters off of that team 2 seasons ago, and he struggled. But really, he lost to mostly pretty good teams. And by the way, if he had a decent quarterback, he would have won most of those games. Now, if you want to say it's his fault for not developing or recruiting a quarterback, that's one thing. If you want to say, you got to beat Ohio State at some point, okay, I'm not going to argue with it. I'm not ready to turn the page on Jim Harbaugh being a bust just yet. I think this is a big year. I think Shea Patterson, the former Ole Miss quarterback, if they can get him eligible, that is a big variable in all this. I don't know that Shea Patterson is the guy that's going to put a program on his back and lead him to a national championship, but I'll tell you this, he's better than anybody they've had. So this is the year that I think is huge for Jim Harbaugh. I am not ready to say he's overrated, overhyped, too much hype, too much TV time, camera exposure, whatever. I can buy that. I don't buy overrated just yet.
Aaron Torres, what's your favorite roller coaster?
I'm not a huge roller coaster guy, Ryan. I like to stay right here on Earth with gravity. But
okay.
Why? Why do you ask?
But no, I mean, because we've got a roller coaster in here in Tuscaloosa, and it's it's called Bama basketball.
Yeah.
They're up, they're down. They're up, they're down. We get excited, we get buckled up, and then they don't play very good. And then they get beat by teams like Missouri. And I know, I get it. I get it. Maybe that's not a bad loss, but it's one at home. You should have took care of business. Had a chance to beat Mississippi State. They didn't get it done. They beat Oklahoma. They got the guys down in Gainesville. Hopefully they can rebound and beat a pretty quality team on Saturday with Tennessee. But it's like a roller coaster here. It's up, it's down, it's up, it's down. I guess that's what you get with youth.
Yeah, I have no good explanation for it, Ryan, because, look, I'm the guy, everybody that follows me on Twitter, at Aaron_Torres, and if they're not following me, you're missing a roller coaster ride on social media because I'm all over the place. But I'm the guy that when they beat Florida last weekend, I said, look at this team's resume. They've beaten Rhode Island. They've won at Florida. They have good wins. They beat Auburn. Until yesterday, they were the only team in the SEC that beat Auburn. Look at this team turning the corner. They're unbelievable. And then they do what they did to Mississippi State. Now, maybe Mississippi State's a good team. They have a good record. They didn't really play anybody out of conference. They're going to be an interesting team going forward. But I'm with you, Ryan. Part of it is, look, I just think it's really hard to get on a roll in the SEC right now. This is a really good conference. Rick Barnes, I know Tennessee is playing Alabama this weekend. Rick Barnes said after that Kentucky game, he thinks nine SEC teams should make the tournament. I don't know that it'll be that many, but as you and I have discussed at length, nonstop, really since last spring around this time, the SEC is vastly improving in basketball, and I just wonder if it's really, really hard to get on a roll in this conference. Either way, I have no answer for why they're up and down the way that they are. But, yeah, I'll be honest, I was stunned by that, Missouri loss after beating Oklahoma. I was stunned by the loss to Mississippi State after beating Florida last week. But, yeah, it just seems like for whatever reason they can't get on a roll. It's very strange.
So let me just put you on the spot. At the end of the day, we've got 7 games, 4 here in Tuscaloosa, 3 on the road. It begins on Saturday with Tennessee, quality team coming to Tuscaloosa. You think this team goes dancing in March? And I'm not talking about the NIT. I'm not talking about the SEC tournament. Obviously, they're going to be there. But at the end of the day, do you think this team goes dancing?
Yeah, I do. What'd you say? You got 7 games left?
4 here, 3 on the road.
All right. I do. Now, look, I think that one, if they beat Tennessee, or if they if they happen to sweep Auburn, I know they still have another game against Auburn. That one will be at Auburn. Look, I think those 2 wins would certainly help. I'd add this. I think Tennessee is right for an upset. They did not look good again. They should have lost to Kentucky the other night. But I'm saying all this to say is that I still think they make the tournament. The thing about Avery Johnson's team is this. I'll give him credit. He knew he was going to have a good team, and he upgraded the schedule significantly this year. And I think the tournament committee will give him the benefit of the doubt, but I also think they got to start winning some of these 50-50 games. I mean, they have all these great wins. Just take care of everybody else that you're supposed to take care of, and you'll be fine. My hunch says, they make the tournament, but I don't feel as great about it as I did, say, 3-4 games ago when they upset Oklahoma, over there in Tuscaloosa.
Well, I mean, here, I'll give you the schedule. They've got Tennessee here, LSU here. Then they go to Kentucky. Then they go to Auburn back-to-back. Then
Wow.
Arkansas and Florida back here, and Texas A&M finishing up the regular season in College Station.
It's a tough schedule, and it's funny because none of those games, as weird as it sounds, this is the kind of year that it is in the SEC. By the way, none of those games is a guarantee. LSU is probably on paper maybe the second or third least talented team in this league. They just beat Arkansas for a second time last weekend. Arkansas is a team that made the tournament the last 2 years. They looked good. They felt like a tournament team early in the year. They've had their ups and downs. Auburn, we know. Kentucky, for all the talk about them being 17-7 or whatever they are right now, just about every game on their schedule they had a chance to win. I mean, we're talking, they had a chance to beat Tennessee the other night. They had a chance to beat Kansas and UCLA in the out-of-conference earlier this year. So Kentucky, there's no easy games is the point. And look, that's a gift and a curse. And I think that there's a lot of fan bases that feel that way in the SEC right now. The curse is that, man, every game is going to be a dogfight. The gift is there's still some chances to pick up some good wins. I can't even say if they win this many, but look, I think if they finish 5-2, they should feel really good. 6-1, they should feel great. After that, I think it just depends on who you beat, how do you look. Do you win a game or 2 in the SEC tournament? I mean, it's crazy, but the weirdest thing, Ryan, is Alabama's not the only fan base that's going through this. I think just about every fan base in the SEC, other than Auburn and Tennessee on the front end and Vanderbilt on the back end, I think everybody else is looking at this like, man, we still have some work to do, either to hold on to our spot or to get in position. Alabama's certainly not the only one, but the chances are going to be there for them.
Final two questions. Aaron Torres, who do you like? And I know we're a few weeks away from March Madness, but right now, who impresses you the most across the nation when we talk about in this country of basketball? What's the one team that you would go to Las Vegas and put hard-earned cash that this team will be the last team standing?
Wow. Putting me on the spot here, Ryan. It's funny because I'm going to probably discuss this very same question on my podcast, the Aaron Torres Sports Podcast. It's so tough. It's funny, like, I think Virginia is the best team in the country this year. Now, they don't play the prettiest brand of basketball, but they just win, man. They won at Duke the other day. They beat Louisville at home. I'll tell you the team. You want to talk about Vegas? I may have had a buddy in Vegas a few weeks ago, and I may have had him put a little money on Xavier for me. Now, for people who don't watch Big East basketball, my former employer, Fox Sports 1, they're a really good team. They're big, they're physical, they're athletic, they play tough. They actually, have kind of a similar makeup to Alabama. They're just playing a little bit better right now. They're a really good team. I don't know if they're the best team. I don't know if they're the team I feel the best about, but that's one team that I don't think a lot of people are talking about right now. They can play with anybody in the country. They can beat anybody in the country, and this is a wide-open season. And would it surprise me to see Xavier in San Antonio? Would it surprise me to see them cut down the nets? If it does, Ryan, you might not hear from me for a few weeks. I'm going to be, celebrating in style. But that's a team that I think they can make a nice little run there.
Final question. Aaron Torres is a 5-star, regardless, hoops or college football player.
Thank you.
Okay. How would you make your announcement? Like, would you be one of those guys that just puts out a simple tweet? You'd call the coach that you're committed to? Would you do one of these big press conferences? Would you throw your hat across the room? Would you create a video? How would Aaron Torres, the 5-star, 6'11", 215-pound center, I'm just making that up, but how would you make your announcement? How would you do it? Because I saw a lot of different drama yesterday. Kind of fun.
I know exactly how I did. That's the easiest question you've asked me all day.
Okay.
I'd call my buddy Ryan Fowler. I'd say, hey, can I come on the game 102.9?
Oh, come on. You're crazy. You're crazy.
That's what I would do.
No,
I would say,
no.
I don't even know if I'm going to Alabama. I just want to, you go with the comforts of what you know. I would pick the game. I would pick Ryan Fowler. I wouldn't even pick a school. I just pick the game. I just put on a game 102.9 hat. That's what I'd do.
Okay. Got it.
Was that a good sell or what?
Well, no, it's perfect. It's great. I appreciate you saying that. But I just, I like how these recruits, they'll go up and they'll do these little things, and they'll take the hat and they'll try it on and throw it across the room. They'll rip off their jersey. Some guy had yesterday like it was like a night, like a, what do you call those robes? It's just a robe. Yeah. He just had a robe on, and he just ripped it off, threw it in the floor. Yeah. That's
what would you do? Here's my thing. I'm not a big yay go me guy. Like, I'll be honest. I'm probably one of those guys that if I like to coach in a school, I would probably just, when Nick Saban brings me into his office and he pushes that magic button and the door closes, and if Alabama was a school for me, I'd probably just say, Coach, I'm coming here. I don't know. I'm not a big yay rah rah go me guy. I like to, I'm more of a prove it on the field kind of guy. But, I'm curious. What about you? What would you do?
Well, listen, if Nick Saban wanted me and if I was a 5-star, and I'm sure he would if I was if I was a 5-star, I don't know how these kids say no to Nick Saban. We're talking about the best coach in college football history. How do you tell that guy no? No, Coach, I don't want to go play for you. I want to go play for the guy that sounds like Cookie Monster down in Baton Rouge. I want to go think about it. You got a guy that goes, or would you rather go to a guy that has got the, here I'm going, Aaron. I'm going homer on you, man. I'll let you go. Aaron _ Torres. He covers college hoops plus football. You can find him on the Athletic website, CBB, the Athletic CBB, the Aaron Torres Sports Podcast. Best way to connect with him is on the Twitter account, Aaron _ Torres. I appreciate you, man. I hope you have a great weekend.
Thank you. And keep in mind, I'm playing for the team 10. I'm playing for team game 10, 102.9 next year. So find me there too. No, I'm kidding. I'm just rambling. Now I'm just ruining the end of the segment. Thanks, Ryan.